Today, I'm really just going to talk about what feels like an L that I am taking right now. And that L is having a real estate transaction fall through. So, this transaction is particularly about a parcel that I have. So it's vacant land in Florida, and it's pretty small. It's only about a quarter acre maybe, but so how I even went about trying to sell it, I've had it for maybe a few years now, and essentially how I went about trying to sell it was very simple, honestly. And anybody who is looking to quickly sell a property or just gauge people's interests or see what people are willing to pay for things, just quickly search on Google whatever city or whatever state that you're looking to sell in. Just Google that and cash buyers. And for most states, you're going to have a ton of different options. And essentially how it's going to work is they're going to have you fill out a form. They're going to have you, ask you a couple questions, maybe the address or the parcel ID, stuff like that. And you're just going to give it to them. And then, over the course of whatever amount of time, they may tell you as you fill it out, or like when you submit the form, like, hey, we'll get back to you within 48 hours, or maybe some people say a week, whatever it is. Point being is that at some point they'll reach out to you, whether by email or by phone, and then they'll kind of start their vetting process of what it might look like or what they're willing to pay for something, different things like that. So that's essentially what I did. I probably submitted maybe close to 50 forms, not 50, more realistically like 30, 35. So submitted a bunch of them, and again, just to see what people, just to start conversations essentially. And I got hit up by a lot of different people, right? And it's a small parcel. Just a little bit about it. A decent portion of it is a designated flood zone, which is personally why I'm not super interested in keeping it as a part of my portfolio anymore. And that's just why I decided to solicit offers on it. So a portion of it is a designated flood zone. And if you know about Florida, you know that, Florida is covered with flood zones. It's Florida. And creatively and instinctively, I know that if I were to build it, or build on it, I should say, I know how to get around it and how to, I know how to tell the architect, like, hey, this is what I want, this is how I want it to be set up, stuff like that. And while due to the flood zone, that would obviously incur different costs, different things like that, just to have the property sit at a certain elevation, to have it clear of those types of things. While I may know that, everybody's not willing to take that on a limb, and I understand that, but nonetheless, I kept this in mind, and I was very open about it in conversations that I had with these potential investors. Told them about the flood zone, told them about anything that I could or had knowledge of about the property. And essentially on April 3rd or maybe April 4th, I believe it was, I did enter under contract for the property for just a little under $10,000. And based on the conversations that I've had with people, I was completely understood that this was certainly towards the high end of what this property would be worth on a market basis. On a tax basis, meaning what it was assessed at, I believe it was around 11 or 12 grand. So if the tax assessment is at 11 or 12 and you're paying me, just a little under 10, I'm pretty certain that you don't have a ton of margin. But due to, it just being a small parcel, it being not necessarily like a big old grand transaction, I was willing to go out on a limb and accept their offer, even though I did have a feeling that they may not close. And I think part of that is frustrating because I definitely do need to trust my intuition. I had another offer that was maybe 1,000 or so less than this one that I do feel may have panned out better, or actually panned out, I should say, because this one at this point in time doesn't seem like it's panning out. I did have another offer that my gut told me to accept, but I did ignore that, and that's my own fault. So there's something to learn in that, in the sense that, I gotta trust myself. I gotta, learn to, not even learn, because this is a lesson that I've been shown over and over again at this point. I just need to, at this point, act on my gut. And that is something that I'm definitely putting into practice moving forward. But so had this property under contract early April. Inspection period was about 20 days, 30-day close. And at the very last day, or on the very last day of inspection, which was really technically a couple days after, I received a call from one of the acquisition managers with the company, and they expressed that they did some feasibility studies, they did things like that, and based on how the flood zone is positioned surrounding the land, and based on where the street side is, that they did not feel that they wanted to move forward anymore because of that. Now, for me, again, I believe that maybe it's just my creativity, maybe it's me, being bold, whatever you want to call it. I do believe that it's a simple, workaround. I just believe that not everybody wants to take, that project on, and that's fine. What issue I have is that there was a lack of communication between the two parties, meaning me and the buyer. And I don't believe that they genuinely were, I don't want to call them intelligent enough, because that's disrespectful, but I don't think that they were under the correct pretense of what they were buying. Because a very, very quick research would show you on a map, on a public website, would show you exactly where the flood zone is on the piece of land, and it's not hard to find. So I think that there was a lack of due diligence prior to their offer that kind of wasted my time, which is what kind of frustrated me, because I feel like if you're an investor, the public information that's out there, if prior to you receiving, or prior to you making an offer, you should be gathering all the public information that's there. And I feel like that's something that is very simple if you're going to, make a transaction in real estate. So for them to kind of come back and say, hey, based on where the flood zone's at, it's like, you knew that, 25-30 days ago, before the inspection period was even over, before, or at least you should have, right? So I think it's personally frustrating because it seems like there was just a lack of intelligence on their part in terms of like how they actually arrived at their number and arrived at analyzing the deal prior to even making an offer. I think it was, again, just not really smart on their behalf. I got to be honest. But yeah, so where that deal stands at now is they are essentially looking, they do have the option to assign within their contract. So what they asked of me was to extend the inspection period so that they can potentially, essentially now what was supposed to be the closing day is also the day that the new inspection period ends. So essentially just gave them an extra 10 days or so or whatever. Not a big deal, but it is a big deal in the sense of, again, it feels like a lack of integrity, but I'm also not trying to attribute to malice what I can attribute to ignorance. And that is important for me. I don't want to grow frustrated with them, and I'm not gonna lie, I hesitated to like contact some other Florida investors and be like, hey, like, who are these guys? Like, they don't know anything, like, don't do business, stuff like that. But this is not my character, and I'm not gonna present myself in a business fashion like that. So hopefully they are able to find a different investor who understands the nature of the deal, and they're able to assign the contract to. Whether they make a few dollars or not, I don't really care. But I do, care to, close on this transaction just to get a little bit of liquidity, and potentially put that towards some other ventures. So yeah, it's definitely been a bit of a frustrating month, but I do think that should this deal close, it can open up a few different avenues for some other opportunities, which that is what I'm excited about, and I think that is what is causing the frustration within me right now, or looking at this as an L. Like, the deal isn't completely done. Technically, it still can be salvaged, and I pray to God that it does pan out and get closed, but that's just where things are at right now. So it does right now feel like an L. It feels like a bit of wasted time. I do I'm punching myself a little bit, just because I do feel like I should have went with one of my other offers. I probably had, like I said, I reached out to maybe 35 potential cash buyers, and I received maybe 15 or 17 different offers. So it's not like the pool is small, as I kind of sit right here with my feet in the pool. It's not like the pool is small. It's just a matter of price, a matter of them understanding the deal and what it would take to actually build. And I just hope that, through all this, I am, acquainted with a qualified, serious, and, intelligent investor. And, that's, again, no shots to them, but I think that people in business gotta know better, instead of just trying to grab up whatever they can and then hope that they're right. I think people just especially in real estate, you gotta know what's going on. You have to seek information. You have to do all these things, and especially when it's public information. Public information and your access to it is literally the name of the game. Like, if there's something that's public information out there and you're looking to complete a transaction and you don't go get that piece of public information, or you don't ask about it, or you don't find somebody who's familiar with the area, like, there's just so many things in real estate that I feel like people have to be cognizant of, and you have to be an intelligent investor. And I think that that's what I want to, I'm speaking about my L. This kind of started about me describing a bit of an L that feels like I'm taking right now, but I think I say that to say, like, be an intelligent investor. To everybody, I say that to myself, I say that to you all that are watching, I say that to literally everybody. Just be an intelligent investor. The more information you have, the better. And the more information you have, the likelihood of you being more successful in any of these endeavors, in real estate, in trading, as an entrepreneur, all of these things, the more information you have, the more successful you will be, the more success you will find, the better deals you will find. You'll be able to be creative and think about the different things that you can do with a potential project or a potential trade or a potential this, that, or the third. It's all just about creativity, intuition, which I just mentioned to you guys that I am definitely delving into more moving forward. But it's all about creativity, intuition, and information. You have those three and you will be an intelligent investor. So with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all on the next one.